We were in the middle of our breakfast when it began. A man in his 70s approached his coffee mug, but his hand did not move when he reached for it. His thoughts were yelling at him to do action. Despite this, his body did not move. A few seconds later, his wife saw that his cup had tipped over and was now dripping down his sleeve. She didn't freak out because she recalled a straightforward maneuver that I had instructed her in only a few weeks' time. The action that she made enabled her to realize what was taking place, to ask for assistance, and to save the life of her husband before the timer ran out. I am Dr. Howard Tucker, and I have devoted my entire professional life to researching the aging brain and the factors that keep it sharp. On the other hand, as far as I am concerned, there is nothing more important than what takes on in the initial minute following a stroke. Additionally, we are going to uncover something very remarkable today. The majority of people believe that strokes come out of nowhere, so the answer is yes, Howard. In point of fact, however, the body frequently issues a subdued warning, in which the hands are the starting point. There was a tremor, a halt, and a delay between the thought and the movement. When you are aware of how to identify and test it, you will be able to identify a stroke before it takes away your time. Exactly the same. And this is the topic that we will be discussing today. It is possible that this would be one of the most significant conversations you will ever have if you are above the age of 60. This is not because it is dramatic, but rather because it is more realistic. Mainly due to the fact that in the midst of a medical emergency, your hands are able to reveal the truth more quickly than any evaluation. It is not about being afraid. Rather, it is about being prepared. What we are going to do is explain a straightforward action that neurologists now utilize as an early detection technique. This movement is one that you can execute while sitting right where you are. There is no need for a medical facility or any machines to be present. It only takes a few seconds of your time, awareness, and control on your part. We ask that you remain with us because this is not merely a narrative about preventing strokes. In this article, we will discuss how a simple action, such as a raise, a grasp, or a twist, can reveal more about the health of your brain than a blood test. And once you have a better understanding of it, you will never again look at your hands in the same way. Through my decades of experience in the medical field, this information has helped save a great number of lives in Japan. In addition, I would want to discuss it with you today. Individuals, when they hear the word hand movement, tend to think of conditions such as arthritis, stiffness, or even exercise. However, you are claiming that the hand is in fact a window into the brain, right? I couldn't agree more, Howard. It is the motor cortex of the brain that is responsible for the beginning of every movement that your hand does, from holding a cup to buttoning a garment. When a stroke begins, the link between the brain and the hand is one of the first things to break down. It is practically the same as a short circuit. Despite the fact that the brain is the source of the signal, the communication is lost in transit. This is fascinating because it suggests that the first indicators of a stroke might not be slurred speech or drooping cheeks, but rather something as subtle as hesitancy in the hand. This is a possibility that deserves to be considered. Exactly the same. In point of fact, research conducted by the National Institute of Neurological Disorders has demonstrated that minute pauses in the movement of the fingers can manifest themselves up to an hour before a stroke becomes fully manifest. The majority of people dismiss them since they appear to be harmless. As a result of a dropped pen, a missed button, or the hand feeling lazy for a brief period of time. But that is the brain pleading for assistance in a whisper. A person's hand may feel weak or clumsy for a variety of reasons, and not always because of exhaustion or age. There may be a problem with the blood vessels, which would prevent blood from reaching the motor neurons that are responsible for fine movement. Indeed, the brain can be compared to a whole city. Whereas the blood vessels are like highways, the neurons are like cars that are conveying signals. There is a slowdown in traffic when a clot blocks one of the lanes. It is only a delay at one small intersection, such as the hand, that you sense, and you do not feel the entire body stopping. Because of this, Neurologists frequently request that patients raise both arms or pinch their fingers during an examination if one hand starts to lag behind the other. Even if it's only by a fraction of a second, it shows us where the obstruction is. Moreover, this hand movement exam that you are about to explain is going to be of great assistance, right? It is true. Neither is it merely a check of reflexes. The conversation is taking place with your brain. Are my cerebral highways clear when you carry it out? That is the question you are asking. Should this signal be delayed in its return, this should serve as your cue to take immediate action. The fact that something so little may be used as a diagnostic tool is quite remarkable. At the same time, for senior citizens who are currently observing, this could mean the difference between a full recovery and damage that cannot be reversed. The power of awareness can be seen in this. Once you have an understanding of how the brain communicates through your hands, you will be able to listen before a catastrophe occurs. I will also demonstrate the steps that you need to take in the following section. A single hand motion that has the potential to save your life or the life of someone you care about. At this point, let's get down to business, doctor. In your statement, you mentioned that this movement can tell us more about the chance of having a stroke than practically any other early warning. In what specific way is it? The grip and release test is the name of this one. Easy to understand, quick, and supported by neuroscience. After bringing both hands up to shoulder height with the palms facing outward, you slowly open and close your fingers. The experience is comparable to 10 times squeezing an unseen ball. Strength is not being evaluated by you. You are using symmetry as a test. It should be a warning sign if one of your hands moves more slowly, feels stiff, or does not cooperate immediately. This is just wonderful. Even though it seems so simple, I can see how it could provide light on a more fundamental problem. In the event that someone is having difficulty with that motion, what is going on behind the scenes? When you open and close your hand, hundreds of nerve signals flow from the motor cortex to the spinal cord, then through the radial and ulnar nerves, and finally into the little muscles that make up your fingers. If there is a little clot that prevents oxygen from reaching any part of that channel, for example, the rhythm will be disrupted. One side seems to be out of sync with the other. In some cases, individuals explain it by saying that their hand has forgotten the pattern. It makes perfect sense. It is not enough to just consider whether your hand moves. It all depends on whether or not it travels in time. Comparable to two musicians performing the same tune, with one of them falling behind by a half beat. Exactly the same. Neurologists are looking for a delay of half a beat in their patients. We have been using this test for years as a rapid home screening in Japan. This is due to the fact that when the hand displays hesitation, the brain is already indicating that there is a problem. According to research conducted at Kyoto University, this grip and release test was able to identify early motor cortex damage in more than 70% of stroke cases in persons over the age of 60 before other symptoms manifested themselves. Isn't that the tragedy that can be found here? The majority of people wait for the dramatic indicators, such as slurred speech or a face that has fallen, when the body frequently initially talks through the fingers. Indeed, before the mouth even opens its mouth, the hand talks. Because of this, I always remind my patients that they should never dismiss a button that is difficult to press, a mug that slips, or a sudden sensation that one of their hands is not listening. Although it does not necessarily indicate that a stroke is taking place, it is an indication that should be checked. Moreover, what actions should one take in the event that they observe a latency when carrying out this test? Take a seat and move quickly. Make an instant call to the emergency services. Please do not wait for it to go away. The window of opportunity for stroke treatment, sometimes known as the golden hour, can determine whether or not a patient recovers or suffers irreversible damage. As a result, this is not merely a test. It is a means of survival. One thing that every elderly citizen can do right now, regardless of where they are, in less than 30 seconds. I couldn't agree more, Howard. That is the reason why it is so powerful. We don't need any machines or money. All we need is knowledge and maybe a second chance at life. You have demonstrated to us, Doctor, how this straightforward hand movement can assist in the early detection of a stroke. But how about the prevention of it? How exactly can performing this action on a regular basis preserve the brain and nerves over the course of multiple years? It is an extremely important question, Howard. The brilliance of this activity lies not just in the detection of things, as you can see. The key is in stimulation. When you intentionally open and shut your hand, you are delivering significant sensory input to the brain. This feedback is essential for proper functioning. That feedback maintains the activity of the motor cortex, the sharpness of the neuronal pathway, and the openness and flexibility of the blood vessels that supply those areas. Take it as a form of physical activity for the wiring of your brain. As a result, it is comparable to recharging the circuits in the brain through movement. Exactly the same. When you move your hand in a rhythmic manner, you increase the blood flow through the radial and ulnar arteries. This results in an improvement in the delivery of oxygen to the neurons that are responsible for controlling reflexes and coordination. This continuous engagement trains the brain to continue communication with those muscles, even while they are under stress, and this training takes place over time. When improved blood flow contributes to improved nerve performance, this phenomenon is referred to as neurovascular coupling in the field of neuroscience. What a wonderful finding! Therefore, a rather minor motion that is repeated over and over again like this can actually enhance circulation, not just in the hand, but also in the regions of the brain that are responsible for fine motor control. Without a doubt, according to research published in the Journal of Cerebral Blood Flow and Metabolism, even just 2 minutes of rhythmic hand movement can boost the amount of oxygen that is present in the motor cortex by as much as 15%. Although that might not seem like much, it is a significant amount for a brain that is becoming older. Neurons are able to remain alive and sensitive, and they are less prone to degenerate when subjected to stress. It is possible that this is also the reason why elderly people who keep their hands occupied, whether via knitting, playing the piano, or even gardening, tend to keep their reflexes quicker and their thinking clearer. That is not a coincidence, that is for sure. Through these processes, the corpus callosum, which serves as a bridge between the two hemispheres of the brain, maintains communication between both sides of the brain. Your brain will continue to be more coordinated if your hand movements are more balanced throughout the entire exercise. Depression, which is frequently associated with decreased brain activity, can be prevented by synchronization, which protects against cognitive decline, motor slowness, and even depression. The idea that the same action that may potentially save your life in the event of a stroke could also slow down the aging process in your nervous system is just mind-boggling. Awareness is a gift that is not readily apparent. When you carry out this simple action on a daily basis, you are doing more than just working your muscles. The brain is being nourished by you. Increasing its reaction time, maintaining the health of your vessels, and telling your nervous system that you are still in control are all benefits that you are experiencing. The doctor, that is quite encouraging. An easy routine that lasts for 30 seconds and helps to keep the brain active, the blood flowing, and the confidence high. That is exactly what it means to age well, as you well know. It is important to avoid waiting for deterioration and instead focus on maintaining the communication links within the body through movement and attentiveness. At this very moment, those who are watching may be wondering, Doctor, when would be the most appropriate time to perform this hand test? Would it be better for them to wait until anything feels off, or should they make it a regular part of their routine? Howard, make it a habit from now on. Waiting for symptoms is analogous to waiting for smoke to present itself before inspecting your wiring. This practice serves as both a checkup and a tune-up for the body. This is something that I recommend to my patients at least twice a day. The first time is in the morning, when the body is beginning to wake up, and the second time is in the evening, when the circulation starts to slow down. It makes perfect sense. An exercise routine in the morning revitalizes the brain. Practicing in the evening helps to keep the blood flowing before resting. However, why are those 2 times so significant from a physiological standpoint? Mainly due to the fact that circulation follows the beat of the body. After a night of sleep, the flow of blood may become more slow. When the tiny arteries that supply blood to the hands and brain are opened up completely, a slight push is required. In addition, blood has a tendency to pool in the extremities during the night, when we tend to sit more and move less. When the movement is performed at specific times, the pump that is responsible for sending oxygen back up is reactivated. Both your hands and your brain will be reset as a result of this. In addition, I believe that consistency is more important than duration. Exactly the same. You don't require lengthy sessions at all. It is sufficient to move deliberately for 30 seconds. 10 slow squeezes, then 10 more, and then relax. Mindfulness is the best approach. Be mindful of the way your hands behave. What is the symmetry of them? Are they able to flow? Not only are you working out, but you are also monitoring them. These minute variations from one day to the next provide insight into the functionality of your neurological system, very similar to a daily status report that comes directly from the brain itself. It is, and it may be worn any place. While you are sitting in bed, while you are watching television, or while you are waiting for the water to boil off. Rhythm, not effort, is the objective here. There is a consistent pulse of motion that serves as a reminder to the vessels to remain open and to the neurons to remain aware. Those individuals who already suffer from tremors or arthritis are a concern. Ought they to continue doing it? They should, but at a low volume. In order to alleviate their stiffness, first, soak the hands in warm water. Elasticity and blood flow are both improved by warmth, which makes the motion easier to perform. Keep in mind that discomfort is not the same thing as an actual pain. In the event that the hand suddenly becomes weak or aches violently, you should take a moment to pause and contact your physician. Rather than tomorrow, it is today. Those are some sound recommendations, doctor. Being able to believe that something as insignificant as brushing your teeth may become a habit that is beneficial to your health is a very empowering thought. Exactly the same. Incorporate it into the rhythm of your daily, whether it is your morning coffee, your evening reflection, or simply a few moments of movement in between that serve to remind you that your health is still in your control. It is possible that people will underestimate it since it sounds so straightforward. When it comes to this hand movement or spotting early stroke signals, what are the most common blunders that older citizens make for the most part? The first error that you make, Howard, is to believe that minor adjustments are not significant. Despite the fact that many elderly people observe their fingers fumbling with buttons, keys slipping, and handwriting appearing weird, many disregard these symptoms as natural signs of age. Nevertheless, the reality is that strokes almost seldom come on suddenly. They begin by whispering. If you choose to ignore that whisper, you will be wasting time, and time is brain. That is a striking statement since, after the fact, families tend to recall those seemingly insignificant mistakes. It is said that she dropped her spoon the day before, or that he mentioned that his arm felt heavy, but no one took the initiative to take action. Exactly the same. Waiting for pain is the second error that people make. Having a stroke is not painful. It is perplexing. Feelings of dizziness, weakness, or a peculiar disconnection from your own body may come over you. It is possible that the hand will not obey, but there is no pain to alert you. Elderly people frequently wait for pain as a sign that something is amiss, but by the time they feel discomfort, the opportunity to intervene has already passed. Therefore, the absence of discomfort does not necessarily indicate safety. It is a sign of treachery and quiet. It is true. The third error is testing in an excessively aggressive manner. Some people, upon hearing the phrase grip test, immediately begin to clench their fists or shake their hands rapidly. That is not the objective. Strength training is not what this is. Rather, it is observation. Harmonious, rhythmic, and in control. Rather of trying to force your body, you are listening to it. Another significant one, I suppose, is skipping the movement on days when you are feeling good. In a word, yes. Many people believe that because they are feeling good today, they will not attend. On the other hand, the objective is not to fix what is broken. The purpose is to preserve what is successful. The brain-hand connection is maintained in a sharp state via consistency. Being apart from it reduces awareness, and awareness is the key to prevention. Where do we stand with the warning flags that individuals should never, ever ignore? These three stand out. The first symptom is a sudden sensation of the hand being heavy or strange, as if it does not belong to you. 2. If you suddenly feel uneasy when performing tasks that require delicate coordination, such as picking up a penny or signing your name. Also, if one hand cools down significantly more than the other, this is the third time. This is not just a temperature drop. Circulation is also slowing down. Because it is so detailed, it is something that people can check in a matter of seconds. Indeed, despite the fact that they are small indicators, these are early warnings. Put them together with sudden uncertainty, slurred speech, or a smile that is skewed to the side. Moreover, it is time to contact the emergency services as soon as possible. Please do not wait for it to go away. The body is frequently teased by strokes prior to the actual attack. Understanding that teasing is what saves lives is essential. So the true error is not that you failed to notice the signs. They are being questioned. I couldn't agree more, Howard. Among all delays, doubt is the most perilous of them all. Believe the signal when something doesn't feel quite right. Very rarely does the body lie. Doctor, I must say that this discourse has been quite remarkable. One of the most potent windows into the health of the brain is a hand movement, which is something that does not seem to be particularly significant. To be honest, it is, Howard. It is the hands that tell the stories. They record every tremor, every delay, and every flicker of communication that occurs between the brain and the body during the process of communication. Moreover, the changes that occur in that discussion are not arbitrary. It is communication. Listening to that warning before it becomes a crisis is the most important thing to do. To tell you the truth, having you express it in such a manner makes it sound almost lyrical. In spite of the fact that we have spent decades instructing individuals on how to check their blood pressure or cholesterol levels, nearly no one checks how their hands react to their own thoughts. You have it right. The hands are the place where the mind transforms into action. One of the initial signs of neurological distress is the body's tendency to hesitate, which occurs as the bridge between the two becomes weaker. You have the ability to rewrite the outcome if you are able to capture that moment. It is such a liberating concept to consider. This prevention does not involve sophisticated devices or taking medicines on a daily basis. Rather, it involves remaining in tune with the language that your body uses. Exactly the same. This straightforward action, which consists of lifting, closing, and observing, can safeguard your independence. Keeping from having a stroke is not the only concern. Trusting your body, having faith in your responses, and remaining cool in times of crisis are all important aspects to keep in mind. Your mobility, your ability to communicate, and even your life could be saved by those few seconds of awareness. It is my opinion that this is the reason why this conversation is so significant. You are not instilling dread in people, but rather giving them a sense of agency and the feeling that their health is actually in their own hands. In addition, it is the reality, Howard. The body is constantly interacting with itself. Keep the discourse going. That is all that is required of us. Through movement, the body communicates that it is still present. We begin the process of healing far before the disease even manifests itself when we respond with attention rather than panic. I couldn't agree more, Doctor. If you only take away one thing from today, let it be this. I am speaking to those who are listening. Put your hands to the test. Have faith in your gut instincts and never ignore a minor indication. If you notice a brief pause or a missed grip, it's possible that your brain is requesting assistance. In addition, the sooner you respond, the more favorable your future appears to be. Maintain your vigilance. Keep yourself busy, and keep this information near at hand, because there are instances when knowledge is the factor that determines whether a catastrophe is avoided or whether it is recovered from. Exactly the same. Maintain your sense of wonder. Be kind with your body, and keep in mind that strength is not measured by how hard you squeeze, but rather by how swiftly you react. I couldn't agree with you more. Maintain vigilance, maintain your optimism, and continue to pay attention to what your hands are trying to convey to you until we meet again.